Hello Internet, welcome back to Daily Codes. Today we are going to continue working on the project that I showed you. In fact, we are not continuing, we are just beginning because in the previous video I showed you the project that I've built for the past week. And in this series, I'm going to be showing you how I built it, or I'm going to build it again while recording on the screen. So the project that we are going to be building, if you want to know about it, please look at the video that is showing on the card on the top right of this video. It is a data engineering project that is a system, an automated system that gets data from several websites. There are two in this case, and scrapes that data using Beautiful Soup, then posts that data to an API, and the API that we are also going to build using Fast API. The database behind that API is a Postgres database, which we are also going to create in this tutorial series. And then we are going to use that data to build a dashboard using Plotly Dash, which we're also going to do in tutorials in this tutorial series. So today we are just going to set up the project, and I'm going to begin by creating a directory for it. So I'm going to make directory, and I'm going to just call it data eng project. Then I'm going to move inside data eng project. Then I usually use pyenv to manage my Python version. So if I type pyenv on my system, so you make sure that you have pyenv installed in your computer so that you can have several Python versions on your computer. And if you are maintaining several projects that utilize different Python versions, then you can use pyenv to help you switch between the different Python versions. So if I do pyenv versions, it is going to show me all the versions of Python that I have installed in pyenv. So I have 3.10, 3.6.13, and so forth. So I'm going to specify in this local folder to use pyenv version 3.10.0. So I'm going to say pyenv local. So local means that it should create the Python environment locally for 3.10.0. So I'm going to put 3.10, 3.10.0. So if I do again pyenv versions, we're going to see that inside this directory that I'm in, YouTube data eng project .python version is 3.10.0. So from here, if you list all files, even the ones that are hidden, you will see that there is a Python version installed in your local directory. Then now we are going to create a virtual environment that we can use to install the Python packages that we are going to use for this project. So I'm going to do Python. So it is going to use the Python in this directory, then -m, sorry, Python -m, virtual environment, and I'm going to call it virtual VM. So this is going to create a virtual environment for me for Python, and the Python version that is going to use to create this virtual environment is Python 3.10.0. So I'm going to activate this virtual environment, or we can list what is inside this directory. We will see that the virtual environment is there, but if we list all plus the hidden files, there is a minus before M. then we're seeing we have the virtual environment and we have this package here for the Python version. So let's activate our virtual environment. If you're using Windows, there is a different way of activating a virtual environment. You can read about it, but it's kind of the same process but different commands. So source pyenv being activate. So this is the environment that we are going to be using to create the whole project. Now we are going to install the Python packages in this virtual environment, and with Apache Airflow, it is very tricky to use Apache Airflow with Python 3.10.0. There are some versions that are already tested, but some are not. The version that is stable for Python with Apache Airflow is Python 3.8 as per the making of this video. But I think by the time you're watching this video, if you are someone who discovers me in the future, you may find that Python 3.10 is already Apache Airflow has already been tested with Python 3.10, but for now, not yet. So you have to use a specific Python version that is compatible with this. And since I have already created this project, I'm just going to look at the requirement.txt in the GitHub so that I can have the versions of the package that are compatible. And I'm also going to leave the link to that requirements file so that you can also use it when you are creating this project. So I'm going to first launch VS Code here. Then I'm going to create a file called requirements.txt. Requirements.txt. Then I'm going to get the requirements from the GitHub and I paste it here. So as per the previous project, or this project, I mean, I'm calling it previous, but it's the same project. I've already done this project. I'm just showing you, and I hope you'll follow. It's good that you code along with me if you want to get hands-on experience into building these data engineering projects. So you'll get this link in the description of this video, and you can get this file. So I'm going to view it raw. Then I'm going to copy all this. So you can see that the Airflow that is being used here is Apache 2.4.1. And you will see different versions for the rest of the packages that we're going to use for this project. So I'm going to copy the whole of this. And I'm going to paste here in the requirements. This requirement is not clear on your screen, so I'm going to increase this size. That's too big. Yeah. So let's now install the requirements. If you list here, you will see that there is the requirement. So we're going to do pip install -r. So -r is recursively, and then we're going to do requirements.txt, and we run that. So this is going to install all the requirements. We can maybe, as it is installing, look at requirements that we are installing into our virtual environment. So we are installing Apache Airflow 2.4.1. Then we are going to install Beautiful Soup 4.11.1. The rest of these packages are just dependencies on the the main package itself. For example, if you're installing Apache Airflow, the rest of this come as dependency for that Airflow. So Beautiful Soup, we are going to use Beautiful Soup. Then we have Dash. We're going to use Dash to build the dashboard. Then we have Fast API, which we are going to use to build the API. It depends on Flask, so it has dependencies on Flask, and G-Unicorn, which is used to launch the server. Then we have Jupyter. I don't know why I'm installing Jupyter server, because I doubt you will use it. I thought we would use it when I was building the project. If, for example, I wanted to do some analysis. Then we have NumPy for management of number, data, and calculations. Then we have Pandas. I hope it is somewhere here. Pandas for data manipulation. Then what else? We have requests, which comes with Python. I don't know why it is here. We have Seaborn for data visualization. Then we have so the rest of the packages are just sub packages. We have SQL Alchemy. Where is it? Let me see. It is somewhere here. We have this SQL Alchemy version 1.4.42 that we are going to use to do object relation mapping in the when we're creating the API. So let me pause the video here until these requirements finish installing. Then we are going to continue by setting up the project by creating the different folders that we're going to be using to build the project. So the Pip has finished installing the requirements onto the virtual environment that we have created. Hopefully it has also finished installing on your system. If it has not, you can pause and pause the video until it has finished, then we can continue. So we can verify the requirements are installed by doing pip freeze, and this will show you the requirements that are installed onto your virtual environment. Yeah, so let's go back to our VS Code, and from here now we're going to create the directories that we will need in this project. So the first directory that I'm going to create will be the directory containing Airflow and the files for Airflow. So I'm going to call it Airflow. So it will contain the DAGs. This is not a directory. Let me delete it. Move to trash. So let me create the directory. So this directory is called Airflow. And this directory will contain the DAGs, the plugins, the logs of Airflow, and so forth. So everything to do with Airflow will be inside here. Then the next directory that we're going to create is API. So everything to do with the Fast API, the object relation mapping, table creation using Python classes will be inside here. Then the next directory will be the one for dashboard. So I'm going to call it dash. So for dash, or dashboard if you want. So this will contain all the files related to fetching data from the database and creation of visualization, then creation of the dashboard, and then appending or binding the visualization onto the dashboard, plus callbacks if we reach the point where we have callbacks. But based on the previous video that I showed you, the dashboard was very simple. It had no callbacks. It was just fetching data from the database and then binding it onto a figure. Then we are going to have supporting directories. Like this one is called fetch, and fetch will contain files that will help us to fetch data from outside the system. So this will be containing request files if we are fetching data from a different database, or if we are fetching a file from a website like a HTML file. So the scripts that will be here will be used to fetch data from several files. Then if we have images, like you may want to put images in your README, then we're going to have an images folder. Then we need also, not inside images, outside of images, I'm going to put here libraries. So the libraries folder will contain supporting code, and this code will be like base classes that can be used in any of the other folders, either to fetch data or to post data into an API, and so forth. So we'll have some libraries here. Then we are going to have a folder for scrape, since we are doing a web scraping system. So this folder will contain scripts that will be scraping the data that we have fetched. So when we fetch this data, we are going to keep it in a certain folder. Let me create that folder. We're going to call it a temporary folder, TMP. And when we fetch data using the scripts here, that data will be kept inside the temporary folder, like either a CSV file or a HTML file. Before we continue pre-processing it, we could store it here, or if we know that our system may run out of space, then we could use a cloud system, maybe an Amazon S3 or Google Blob, a Blob, or Azure Blob, our data lake. But since this is a simple project for us, we will be keeping the files that we fetch in our local system, and we're going to keep it in the temp folder. Then after that, the script will be looking inside the temp and then scrapes the data. Then after scraping, it posts to the API, and then the API will now save the data into the database. Airflow will be used to schedule this job, all the jobs that will be here, that will help in knowing when to fetch the data, and then when to scrape, and then when to post into the API. Then we are going to have another supporting folder called scripts. So these scripts, whatever will be inside here, will be used to support the developers mostly, and it will be either a script that helps in managing the logs for Airflow, the scripts that are used to either automate the setting up of this project. You may decide to just write a bash script that will create all these folders for you automatically, and so forth. Then we are going to have a git ignore if you're using Git, but we are not going to be using Git here. If you would like to see how git ignore works, then you can look at the if you want to see how git ignore looks like for this project, then you can look at it in the GitHub repository that I have put also in this project. So majorly, this is what we are going to do in the upcoming videos until we are able to set up and complete this project. Then after that, we are going to we are going to instantiate Airflow. So before we instantiate Airflow, we need to first of all tell the system, or pass environment variables to the system that point towards the project, and there are two environment variables that are important here: Python path and Airflow home. So I'm going to export Airflow underscore home, and Airflow home refers to the directory in your system where Airflow resides. For this project, our Airflow home is in this working directory /Airflow. So our working directory is data engineering project, which is that. Then the subdirectory inside it is Airflow. So we do that. Then we're also going to export Python path so that our directory becomes a package. So the Python path, the Python path to the directory, we already created Python 3.10.0 locally, is inside this directory. I'm putting backticks here if you're not used to bash command. So I put this backtick and this backtick to show that this is a command. So this command is first executed, then the output is now assigned here, the same here, then the output. So whenever you do, let me first run this. Whenever you do print working directory, it gives you this. So I didn't want to type the whole of this inside here because I know where I am. So I just do print working directory Airflow. So we have these two variables. This will help us now to set Airflow up. So we're going to do Airflow version. So when you run this, it's going to create a file inside Airflow home to help you set up. So we can go inside Airflow, and you see we already have logs created by just running Airflow version. The logs are already created, and then there is this is the most important file that we need, which is called Airflow config, that that we are going to change the parameters inside here to help us set up Airflow. So in the next video, we are going to set up Airflow, run it, create a user inside Airflow, and we shall see how far we shall go with Airflow tomorrow. Until tomorrow, take care, learn more, learn something, teach someone, and bye.